there. All right, there. You ready to roll too?
Well, hang on. I'm having trouble getting.
Getting things set up. That's understandable.
No, not getting set up for some reason. Starting the stream. Oh, there we go.
All right. That's good to hear there. All right. Yeah. Other than that, everything's going good and all that good stuff there. Like I said, I had to take my sister wanted me to pick up some stuff for her from the mall here, so I did. I was able to take care of that. So make a vlog on the way away before I head on home and all that good jazz there, and blah blah blah. So tonight we're covering the band Yes in our second of our prog rock series here. And this band has a long, lengthy career. And right now we have two Yeses that are on tour right now or doing shows.
And neither one of them have Chris Squire.
I know exactly. Chris Squire, as you know, passed away in 2015, and of course, the two Yeses that are out there. The one Yes, I guess, features Steve Howe, I guess, Rick Wakeman and Alan White, and the other Yes features John Anderson and a couple others there who possibly Tony Kaye or Trevor Rabin, I guess, where I understand. It's
Yeah,
like,
it's kind of funny that Anderson didn't join the other guys.
yeah, I don't understand what happened there. How the hell this whole bullshit happened there?
Yeah,
Because it's always bullshit whenever a well-respected band that divides into two groups there. I mean, if you remember for a while there was two L.A. Guns running amok there. We had L.A. Guns with Tracy Guns and Phil Lewis, and along with Steve Riley's L.A. Guns, touring under that particular name there.
that's a lot of reason why sometimes one member will take the name and it's his.
Yeah, Bobby Blotzer, the drummer for the band Rat, is a good example for that. He made all these claims that the rest of the band didn't want to tour, didn't want to work. Well, the problem is they didn't want to work with him. So he took the rights of the name all to himself, came up with a whole new lineup of Rat. People were not happy about it. It's like Stephen Pearcy's Rat, Warren D. Martini is Rat, Juan Crucier is Rat. Well, in the meantime, they finally got a hold of the name and they took it back, and they got rid of Blotzer. And Blotzer, I guess basically Blotzer wanted to earn money. That's
Yeah,
basically the big thing there. And you got to remember, most of these bands don't have deals or contracts or big promotions, so touring and merchandise are the only source of their revenue there.
right.
Yeah, like and God forbid if something should happen to them, whether it's an illness or a surgery or something like that, then there's going to be problems. So, because I remember Jack Russell, the frontman of Great White, he had a hip surgery not long while back. I guess it was in 2009 and 2010 there. Because I remember when I saw them play at the Riverfest in St. Clair, Michigan. He had a little cane on it, didn't move around that much there. He explained why he had that issue there. And I guess during the interview before for his firing from Big Great White, I guess what it was is that the manager was pissing him that he had that surgery. You cost us money. You cost us this and that. Well, you got to remember, a guy's health should be more concerned, don't you think? It should be more important than earning money. I should understand that.
Well, I would
But
think that's not much of a manager, but hey, that's my opinion.
yeah, that's true there. But then again, there are managers out there that are absolute money grubbers. They
Yeah,
are. Jamie Spears, for example, he wanted tight control over his daughter so he could get all that revenue. Bottom line. And guess what? You ain't going to get that much no more.
yeah, he's out of the picture.
Yeah, thank goodness for that because we don't need the best thing for you performers out there to do is not get your parents to be your managers because they're going to favor you at times over every other band member. For example, Beyonce and her father. That's another scenario we got to talk about sometime.
But
But
tonight's
anyway,
discussion is yes.
yeah, the band, yes. John Anderson, Rick Wakeman, Chris
Well,
Squire, Alan White.
there was several iterations, but we'll
Yeah,
get to that.
there was Bill Bruford, as we know, who we mentioned, later became a member of King Crimson years down the line. And of
Yeah,
course, Tony Kaye, the original keyboardist.
yeah, and like I said, we'll kind of discuss this, but
Go ahead.
oh, I was just looking at something.
Oh,
Okay,
okay. All right.
uh, well, we know Chris Squire basically started the band,
Mm-hmm.
and the first bunch in the band was John Anderson,
Yep.
Peter Banks, who played
Peter.
guitar,
Yep.
Chris Squire, of course,
Yep.
Tony Kaye played the organ and keyboard, piano,
Yep.
and Bill Bruford was drums and
Yeah.
vibraphone, whatever
That's
the heck
right.
a vibraphone is.
I'm not too sure about it. I heard him. Probably something related to the xylophone, I
Yeah,
guess.
well, their first album was simply titled Yes,
Yes. Hmm.
and basically the significant tracks on there were, well, Yesterday and Today was pretty decent. Uh, Every Little Thing, a Beatles cover, was
Ah,
actually pretty good.
that's good there.
And let's see what else was there. Well, it started with Beyond and Before, which was actually not too bad. Well, actually, this album's not bad, but it's not a not a mirror on what's going to happen later. But
Yeah.
it's in its own right, it's a good album.
Time and a word.
Well, hang on, we're getting to that one.
Yeah.
Okay, the next album was Time and a Word,
Yeah. The second album that they had there.
and it also is a pretty decent album on its own. But
Yeah.
like I said, it's not a real sign of what's to come.
Yeah. This
Uh,
was a predecessor for what would happen later on down the line.
and it's the same lineup.
Yep.
So they did two albums before they started jumping around. Now this album includes a song called No Opportunity Necessary, No Experience Needed, which is kind of a precursor of what's coming.
Yeah.
It's kind of proggy itself.
Yeah. And I
Eh,
remember seeing footage of that clip there. I guess it was one of those beat clubs kind of performances they had where they had the band's logo at that time. Before the logo we all know by heart would be, popping up, repeatedly there.
Yeah, and
I
the
remember,
funny thing was this song, the break in it to me sounded like a TV theme.
mm, interesting there.
It's very string driven, and it's pretty decent. I think it's worth a listen.
I see there, yes.
And they also did Every Days, which is a Stephen Still song that Buffalo Springfield did cover,
Ah,
which was
nice.
pretty decent. And of course, the song The Time and a Word.
Yes. The title cut there.
Sweet Dreams is a pretty decent song.
Not the song, not the rhythm mix.
No,
Keep
no,
that
no.
in mind, folks. Nope.
It's. But this was also, for what it was, a good album.
Mm,
I would not diss either album at all. They were
yeah.
decent albums.
Yeah.
But the next album, oh my goodness.
This is the one that broke him in big, and we're talking about the third release, the Yes album. And this featured the first debut of Steve Howe as their new guitarist.
And Rick Wakeman is, no, he didn't hit yet.
No, it was still Tony Kaye on keyboards at that time.
Yeah, I almost goofed.
Yeah, I know. And the two basic main tracks from this album that would make it big on the radio was I've Seen All Good People and, of course, Starship Trooper.
Yeah,
And, of course, the little instrumental that Steve Howe did on a lot of front of a live audience there called The Clap, I guess it was called, where people would clap along with this
yeah.
acoustic guitar piece that he was playing there.
And you might also mention Yours Is No Disgrace, which is an
Yep,
excellent
absolutely.
song.
Yeah, it is, absolutely.
And I've seen, well, not I've seen All Good People. Then there was A Venture, which was kind of a short little ditty.
Yep.
and Perpetual Change, which was actually a pretty decent song.
Yes.
In fact, there's a part in the middle where it starts off with somebody's playing one rhythm or one bar or progression,
Yeah.
and then someone breaks in with a different progression on top of it that melds, and then yet someone else breaks in with a different progression on top of that that melds, but three different progressions going at once. It's,
Uh,
it, I think it actually goes into four or five of them, but it's really interesting seeing how all of this is different, but it's together yet. I mean, it was all the same. And this was a time when they were pretty much writing their own stuff now.
yep. They were coming onto their own, developing their own identity, music wise, and personality. I guess, direction wise, I guess you could say.
Yeah, and of course we'll get to the live albums later. Let's do the studios. The
Yes.
next one was what started the Roger Dean covers.
Oh yeah. We know the album that we're talking about,
Fragile.
Fragile. Yes, this would continue the success. And we know what hits. Actually, we know what basic song and two hit songs. Well, basically three, since two are lumped together there.
Yeah, and
Roundabout,
this is
and of
where Rick
course,
Wigman joins.
yeah, this is the debut of Rick Wakeman, the
But yeah,
man that would later, the man would later do his version of, what was it? What was that? What's that one? Son of a bitch! I know one of them was the Journey to the Center of the Earth. He had
right.
that live performance with a narrator, orchestra, and everything there.
That's
And he
an
also,
excellent thing, by the way.
yes, yeah. By the way, I had that album there, and we also cannot forget the Eight Wives of Henry VIII.
Six.
Six, sorry, my bad. The Six Wives of Henry VIII. My
That's
bad.
okay.
Yeah,
I
and
guess Henry
plus,
VIII
the
wished he
details
had
of
eight.
how they died.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what. Oh boy, man! And plus, he had really. I guess he only released a couple others, if I understand. If anybody knows out there, if anybody let know in the chat there or the comment section. But he was also known for playing his keyboards with wearing a long robe,
oh yeah,
resembling a wizard.
yeah.
That was his trademark look there. And by the way, he also hosted a music interview show in which he interviewed the likes of Tony Iommi of Black Sabbath, later on down the early 2000s there. I remember seeing that episode. And of
Yeah,
course, we know as we mentioned, go back to Fragile, the album. They had, of course, Roundabout, one of their biggest hits there, plus, Long Distance Roundabout and The
run around.
Fish. Yeah, Round Around. Yeah, my bad. And those two songs were like major plays on the radio.
Yeah, they usually went ahead and played the fish, which was surprising.
Yeah, I
And
wonder
that
did
was
they.
kind of a Chris Squire thing.
Mhm. Oh yeah, you got to remember, Chris Squire was not just a regular bass player. He would try to interpret, guitar licks, guitar movements, fast playing on his own, on his bass playing at times.
And it's kind of interesting. You mentioned Rick Wakeman's solo career, but actually outside of
Out of
I-
yes.
out of yes, but outside of Bruford, because I don't think he had a solo career.
Hmm.
The other three guys had solo albums:
Oh
Anderson,
yeah.
uh,
Yes.
Howe, and Squire.
Yeah, Steve Howe released a couple of solo albums during his time, which of course Roger Dean did the covers for, and John Anderson had a solo record and I guess it was in 1982, if I remember, called Animotion, if I'm correct, or Animation, which are those titles there.
Yeah, and he
And
had
I
another
remember,
one called Elias at Sun Willow.
yes, and I think it had Three Stars, which was a Christmas album, I believe, in 84, 85, if I'm
Yeah,
correct there. Yeah. And guess, of course, Steve Howell, got to give him credit. I remember he would later join the band Asia after Yes's dismantling in 19 after 1980 there. And I saw Jeff Dow's Asia play at the Ritz in Roseville one time there, you know, and of course Steve Howe came up and did a couple of songs with the rest of the set with those guys there,
Huh.
which is like, I could have, like, say, geez, I could have met Steve Howe for crying out loud, but I had to had to leave after the show because I had my job at that time.
Yeah.
One of
Well,
those opportunities you missed out on. I was like, oh, you son of a dang goat.
okay, we mentioned Roundabout. Then
Yep,
there was Cans and Brom, which was a
yep,
Wakeman number.
yep.
We Have Heaven, which was an Anderson number. And South Side of the Sky, which was a great little song.
Yes, I remember hearing that. I remember I had that album myself there. And by the way, going back to our previous group, King Crimson, John Anderson sang lead vocals on a track called Prince Rupert Awakes on
Wow.
that suite called The Lizard that we mentioned.
Right.
That's on the Lizard album. He sang on the opening track of that whole section there, that whole story there.
Yeah. Then we followed that with 5% for Nothing, which was a Bruford number.
Yeah,
It's a little short one.
yeah.
Then we get into the one you was talking about, Long Distance Runaround.
And the fish.
Roundabout,
Roundabout, yeah.
the fish.
Yep,
Then Mood for a Day, which is a Steve Howe pretty decent guitar solo.
yep,
Uh, acoustic.
yeah. And by the way, Steve Howe, credit to him. He was the one of the many, one of the very few guitar players out there next to Ted Nugent to interpret a large hollow body guitar into rock and roll there.
Yeah. And then the album closes with Heart of the Sunrise.
Hmm.
Great song.
Yeah. And of course, the one that would come afterwards, I guess, would be that one you're talking, Tales from this
Oh no,
Tropical Oceans. Okay.
Close to the Edge.
Oh my God, that's one of that would begin the well, not necessarily begin it. It happened a couple times. It happened with King Crimson's Lizard, as we mentioned in the previous show. There, the whole title cut was about
It's around
20
20 minutes.
20 minutes long there, and it's what kind of like this would actually kind of gave the perception about prog rock bands that people would joke about like th- you're midway halfway through the show there. It's about an hour and a half into this prog rock band's playing, and they're only playing the second track.
Yeah. You know, the funny thing is, most prog rock fans point to this album as and that song
Yeah,
as one of their favorites.
yeah. A lot of, I mean, they got to remember the. I remember seeing that. You ever saw the movie Yes Songs?
Hmm.
Yeah, I remember seeing that one time at the on the show called Night Flight on during the weekend, which used to run on the USA Network there. And man, interesting show they had. A lot of these prog rock bands didn't have all the lasers, they didn't really have much of the technology there that most prog rock bands like the screen behind the band, like bands like Pink Floyd and others would have there, like that we see like Foo Fighters, Kiss, so they had to rely on whatever they can. So they had to rely on this particular light, this particular whatever it's called, that twirling circle with the sparkles on it that would just light up the whole arena there.
Well, we'll talk a lot more about that album or the Yes songs when we get to live.
Oh yeah. All right, and the
Okay,
next one
this
here.
album opens with Close to the Edge, which includes The Solid Time of Change, Total Mass Retain, I Get Up, I Get Down, Seasons of Man.
Yeah,
It
and which
also
by the way,
had, oh, go ahead.
and I'm taking this is the remastered version with the extra tracks.
Actually, I'm looking at the original.
Oh, yeah, close to the edge here. There, because I have it listed. I mean, it's just three tracks on there: the
Right,
title
that's
cut
it.
and You and I. Ah, I see there. All
And
right.
Siberian Khatru.
Okay, yeah. And the next one here is one we discussed on this program a couple of times. Tales from Topographic Oceans.
Yeah, a two record set, huge. And it only has four tracks, but they're kind of connected. And
Yes,
each
I'm
track
reading the
is like
titles
20
right
minutes
now.
long.
Yeah. The same record that would do this would be Cyborg by Klaus Schultze, who was an electronic musician from Germany there, who used to be a member of Tangerine Dream years before.
Well, it's significant because outside of Bruford, who had left, and
Yeah.
Alan White came in,
Yep.
it's, it still had the same members.
Yeah. Other than Bruford, as we mentioned there. And the tracks for this album here: The Revealing Science of God, The Remembering, High the Memory, The Ancient, Giants Under the Sun, and Ritual, Nos Psalms de Soel,
Yeah,
if I'm pronounced that right.
yeah, it kind of went into a little thing there, didn't they?
Yes, it did. It kind of like went into a little, kind of a concept, if we want to say there, or a theme there.
Yeah,
I guess the tracks itself are tales in their own right.
yeah, and I guess that album was too much for Rick Wakeman because this is
Yeah.
about the time he left the group.
Yes, and Patrick Morant's come in, who of course you remember would later replace Mike Pinder in the Moody Blues in the early '80s there.
Right,
And the result from this new version would be Relayer in 1974, which I
which
also had
again
on.
only had three songs.
Yeah, The Gates of Delirium, which is a classic there. Sound Chaser on, and To Be Over on side two there.
Yeah, and the Gates of Delirium, they pulled about a 3 to 5 minute part of it called Soon and made that a single.
Ah, and I guess that's probably towards the that's the end of the track, basically.
Pretty much.
Soon, yep, I know what you're talking about there, and it's a very haunting piece section of that whole track.
Yeah,
Very haunting when you look at it.
and that's another good album. At
It
this
is.
point, I have a list from those albums, but I'm going to warn you ahead of time that it's going to be very heavy on the
Yep.
Yes album and
All right.
Fragile and Close to
No,
the Edge.
no surprise about that. No surprise.
Okay, my number 10, I've Seen All Good People.
Yep.
Surprise, but that's a
Okay.
good song.
Don't blame you.
9, Roundabout.
Classic, still played on the radio this day. I remember. I think if you look on YouTube, you could probably find a roundabout remix somewhere. I guess some producer did some remix for that song there. Pretty. I'm trying to. I should probably find that when we're done with this program and take a listen to that. And probably should also take a listen to a dance version of "In the Air Tonight" by Phil Collins. I remember having that on my cell phone a couple years back when I worked at the previous job that would play at time.
And my number, wherever I left off, 8
8.
is Heart of the Sunrise. My number 7 is South Side of the Sky.
From Fragile, as you mentioned.
My number 6 is Siberian Khatru.
Yep.
My number 5 is Perpetual Change. My number 4 is, Yours Is No Disgrace.
Yeah, good song there.
My number 3 is Close to the Edge.
The title cut for the album that we mentioned earlier there.
My number 2 is Starship Trooper.
Great song, them.
Absolutely a fantastic song.
Absolutely. I double agree on that one there.
And my number 1 is And You and I. For some reason, I really like that song.
Mm. All right, so on to the list here, the album list of albums, 1977, Going for the One, which I have on my MP3 there.
Yeah.
Great, a great album to listen to when you're on your way to the Renaissance Festival. When you think about it, there it has that Renaissance feel. You remember, Yes's music often has that Renaissance knights and wizards, Dungeons and Dragons kind of feel to it. When you listen to tracks like Gates of Delirium, Turn of the Century, or Parallels, Awaken its own self, it has that's the thing about this band here, along with Jethro Tull, I should say there, because they're more you know, Renaissance folk and hard rock, combined
Right.
together than what Yes is.
And the interesting thing on this album is Rick Wakeman rejoined the group.
Yep. Yep. I guess I guess they worked it out, between those two sides, I guess. And Patrick Moraz, went on to do a couple solo records. Who, as we mentioned earlier, joining the Moody Blues.
Right. Songs of note on this album are Going for the One, Wondrous Stories.
Hmm
Of course, the other stuff's not bad now.
Oh
Awaken,
yeah, Turn to the Century. That's a
right.
damn good song there.
Parallels,
Great, and of course the piece Awaken.
right.
Yes, very good album there. Very, very good record there. Turn of the Century has those hooks in that song, which kind of like gives you a sentimental feel when you think about it there.
Yeah,
And by the way, that album cover was probably, I think it was one of the few albums which Hypnosis did the cover for. I guess they also do for the record that would come after that, 78's Tormato.
yeah,
Now, Hypnosis, as we know, was Aubrey Powell and Storm Thorgerson, who did album covers for Pink Floyd, Led Zeppelin, Alan Parsons Project, 10cc, did a couple for Black Sabbath, one for AC/DC. Remember the Dirty D's Done Dirt Cheap
yeah.
in 81 there? And also they did a whole bunch of album covers. Well, Storm Thorgerson did after when Hypnosis decided to disband in the 80s there. Thorgerson would later do covers for Pink Floyd compilations. He also did for some of the bands like Muse, the Mars Volata. I think that's how that band is pronounced here and there.
Mars Volta,
Mars Volta. Thank you. Yes. Remember, at times my pronunciation at times is it's basically so you get where I'm coming from there.
no
Shout out
sweat.
to Steve. Shout out to Steve Caroline in the chat there. He wants to say hi. Hi, how you doing there, dude?
Hello,
There. Yeah.
hello.
Yeah.
On Tormato, there's several interesting songs. Well, they're all good. Well, it's hard
One
for me to
one
find a Yes song I don't like.
and this is one of the first Yes albums to not have 20-minute tracks there. Well, not for a while there. The one that interests me is the title "Don't Kill the Whale." I guess
Yeah,
it's about
and that's a
environment.
good song.
Yeah. From what I understand, that's about the environment issues. Don't kill the animals. So they're here for a reason. There, I think that's what it's about, if I'm correct.
Yeah,
Mm. Ah,
but like I said, it's the same lineup as the previous album.
yes, the lineup we all know by heart.
It, well, the only one that's kind of variable is White Bruford.
Yeah, and plus, this also featured. I like the title of this track here, "Arriving UFO."
UFO, yeah,
Ah, and this one's about, I guess, a UFO arriving on the Earth there. I guess,
yeah.
greeting the humans. Think I saw your leader. He's right here. Oh, fuck him. He's a loser. I'm going to head back home. This planet sucks. Blah. So, and of course, soon after this, Rick Wakeman would leave again, along with John Anderson. They would
Yeah,
depart. Now, we don't know what the hell his situation was with that, but when it was announced, I remember reading Cream magazine about this situation, and the replacements for those two was even
basically
more.
the Buggles.
Yeah, Jeff Downes and Trevor Horn, who a year before, with 1979, had a hit of their own called "Video Killed the Radio Star,"
Yeah,
and that
but
of course, as
Drama's
we
not
all
a bad album.
know, it's a damn good record. I remember hearing it played, the first track from the album being played on the radio there,
Machine
Machine
Messiah.
Must,
Yeah.
yeah. It's kind of like, kind of looking up to a god of sorts, like a computerized god, which kind of like makes sense today since people look to machines as a god. Like the
Yeah.
cell phones, we pay more attention to our cell phones than we pay attention to everything else out there. Now, of course, the track also the album continues with White Car, which is a short, very short track there. Does it really happen? And closing off side one. Side two begins with three more tracks: Into the Lens, Run Through the Light, which is another damn good song there,
Yeah.
and the closing track, Tempest Fidget. They would go on tour there, and then that was it. Yes was no more afterwards. There was some sort of drama going on behind the scenes as well there. A lot of arguments, a lot of beef going on there.
Yeah, they pretty much disappeared for what, 3 years?
Yeah, 3 years. Well, actually, 3 years basically there.
And then this is when they released one of their biggest selling albums.
Yeah.
Uh,
And they would go commercial as well, go commercial
yeah,
while still holding on to their true intentions.
yeah,
90125, which was basically got the title from that as a cat. It was also the same number as their catalog. They
right.
were later signed with Atco Records, which is distributed by their previous label, Atlantic Records. And the story was that they were supposed to be called Cinema, was the name of the album
Yeah.
there. And they
And,
decided, but I guess the record company convinced them, hey, call it yes, since it's Anderson, Tony Kaye, and Alan White, and Chris Squire. We got the goods right there. Oh,
and
they
Trevor
had now
Rabin.
was Trevor Rabin, that's their new guitarist there, who later on would do some soundtrack work just as well there.
Yeah.
Various movies and TV shows, if I'm correct. I'll look that up later on.
And this album opened with what essentially I think turned out to be their biggest hit.
Yeah, Owner of a
Owner.
Lonely
Yeah.
Heart, which was produced by Trevor Horn.
Yeah.
And Trevor Horn, as we mentioned, would become a big part of the UK British music scene around the 80s there. He would later co-form a label called ZTT, which would sign, one of many couple of acts that would be on that label would be, of course, Frankie Goes to Hollywood.
Yeah.
Trevor Horn would record one more album with As the Buggles, an album called Adventures in Modern Recording, in which he took the track Into the Lens, interpreted that into a new version called I Am a Camera, since that was one of the main lyrics of that track there.
Right.
Both tracks, I should say.
It also included Hold On, decent song.
Yep.
It Can Happen, another decent
Yep.
song.
Changes.
Changes. And then it opens side two with Cinema, which is,
A short instrumental there.
and then they do Leave It, which is,
A cappella with a little drum machine there, a little bit of keyboards, which if you never heard the story about the making of that video, the two video directors, I guess it was Godley and Cream, if I'm correct,
it
they
looks like
made
their work.
how many versions of that,
Yeah, it
of that
looks like
video.
their work.
Yeah, it was. The one official video there would have, of course, becoming with all these effects on that, but there was tons and tons of versions of that track there, tons of video versions of there. A couple of them featuring all the members, two of the members, four of the members, three of the members, a couple of them upside down. I gotta look out there because there's a lot more to that.
Then they followed that with Our Song, which is a decent song. City
Yep.
of Love, which is decent. And Hearts, which
Yep.
is decent.
Good song there, yeah.
It's funny, like I said, you're probably not going to hear me say lousy because I like most of the songs. Then
Yeah.
they waited about 4 or 5 years before they put out Big Generator.
Yeah, which is it came out at the end of 1987 there. I guess it was going through a lot of studio situations there. Yeah, I'm looking up the video, the music video situation with Leave It. It says according to Wikipedia, the music video, of course, as we are corrected, directed by Godley and Cream, shows the band standing while going through video created abstract effects. It was the first music videos to utilize computer generated imagery. 18 different 18 different variations of that video were made. The first one, for instance, simply had the band upside down, but motionless throughout the whole song. With the 11th one chosen as the standard version, the one that we also become the official video. And half-hour documentary of the making of that video was on MTV in 1984. A marathon showing all 18 videos, one right after another, was also shown on that same network. I guess it was an April Fool's joke that they were doing with that one there.
I kind of wished I'd seen that.
And it was produced by, of course, Trevor Horn.
Rabin.
And it was also in
Trevor
appeared
Rabin.
as a Trevor Rabin. No, Trevor Horn.
Oh, because
Yeah,
Trevor
remember?
Rabin was in the band.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he produced this track and owner of A Lonely Heart. Now, and during the tours there, it'll be Cinema as the opening track and Leave It coming afterwards.
Hmm.
It was performed on 113 shows on the 9012 live tour, but was not performed since that, unfortunately.
Hmm.
And a big generator there. I remember Rhythm of Love was a big hit. Love
Hmm.
Will Find a Way was an even bigger hit. They played the album in its entirety
Shoot
that
high,
year.
aim low.
Yeah, another good one there. And of course, we travel on to 1991 with an interesting concept here, the album Union.
Yeah, and it's funny because it was like all the members of Yes together, but
Yes,
not at the same time.
yeah.
Kind of weird.
Well, until they went on tour. This was both Yes of Past and Yes of Present together on one tour there. And this was, John Anderson did mention how would it be like to have both generations of Yes on one stage, let alone one album. Well, that wish came true with this one here.
Yeah.
And the song, "Lift Me Up," I guess was I remember seeing the video for that. It was kind of like an inspirational video to helping others.
Right.
Yeah,
That definitely had to be Anderson generated.
yeah, absolutely. And it had the most tracks on this album there. And by the way, this would be on the start of their album. This would be released on Arista Records, believe it or not. Arista Records, paid big bucks for Yes's contract from Atlantic, Atco, and therefore this album was released there. And of course, I'm not too sure what it was. I guess this was after the early '80s there, no, early '90s. It would be Anderson,
Bruford.
Squire, Bruford, and I guess
Oh, it's
they
Anderson,
would have
Bruford,
that
Wakeman,
project.
Howe.
Yeah, thank you. And I
And
guess
Squire was
that
the only one that wasn't on that album, which was kind of weird.
Yeah, it was surprising. I guess it was supposed to have been a Yes album, but Squire opted out and figured, let's call it this instead of Yes, out of respect to Chris.
Yeah.
And how many tracks are on the Union here? I guess there's a lot here.
Hang on, to pull it back up.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Wow,
Yeah.
that's a trip there. Of course, it would go back to the 9012 live lineup for 1994's Talk,
Right.
which came out on a label called Victory Records, which was ran by a former Atlantic Records executive, Phil Carson. And of course, they released two live albums, which we would get to later on.
Right.
Open
When we
Your
do
Eyes,
live.
yep, Open Your Eyes would come out in 1997. I guess it came out on the independent label, if I'm correct there.
Yeah.
Yes. So by that time, all the prog rock bands were coming out on indie labels there. Some of them, there was this
Yeah,
one
because the
record
big
label.
labels just didn't really want to deal with it.
No, because record label, most of the major labels are interested in what's trending at the moment there. Like
Right.
they figured, what's trending right now is was one that makes the most money. And you got to remember at that time, alternative was the main thing. Bands like New Radicals, Blues Traveler, and all those groups out there.
Yeah.
They got to
Alternative
go
to
with,
music.
hmm but the alternative was now the mainstream,
Yeah.
unfortunately. Me,
Actually,
my alter. Go ahead.
Keys to the Ascension, or Keys to Ascension,
Yep.
was actually half live, half studio.
Oh, really? There.
So I have them listed among the studio albums.
All right. So definitely got to talk about that one there.
Well, the first one, essentially, like I said, it had studio and live, and they, of course, went back and did some of the old stuff like Siberian Khatru, Revealing Science of God, America, which, by the way,
Yep.
I didn't mention. That's a pretty decent track.
You know,
And
Roundabout and Starship Trooper are included as well.
yeah, and to
Key
be
to
the one.
Ascension number 2. I guess that's the same thing. I guess if I take it, half live, half the studio.
Yeah, it's kind of a continuation of one, but
Hmm.
not really. I mean,
Ah,
it kind of continues the theme, but they're two different albums. This one had I've Seen All Good People, Going
yep.
for the One, uh, Turn of the Century, and You and I, which it's a great. That song's great live for some reason.
Mm, I see there. Of course, it continues with Mind Drive, Footprints, Bring Me to the Power, Children of Light,
Yeah.
which is the album's closer.
So they were
Now,
basically half live and half studio.
yeah, for these two releases here. Open Your Eyes comes out the same year, 1997.
Yeah.
Yes, and I understand that. Well, is it the same lineup or is it Alan White, Rakeman, Anderson, Howe, and Squire? Is it still that lineup?
Let me take a look.
Yeah, because I'm wondering, because usually around
Anderson,
this,
Howe, Billy Sherwood,
Billy Sherwood. Yeah,
Chris
I guess
Squire,
he's
Alan
Chris
White.
Squire. All right, there. And Billy Sherwood was, I saw it at this time, it was like, Billy Sherwood, what was he playing? Keyboards, I guess?
Probably.
All right, there. So Rick Wakeman wasn't
No.
involved at that point.
Well, yeah, electric guitar, uh,
Ah,
keyboards on some tracks,
mm-hmm.
and harmony and vocal.
Yes. So I guess another changes went on with that group there. I guess you could say. Shout out to Minnesota Vikings fan in my chat here. And the next album in 1999, The Ladder.
Yeah, and that one included Henderson, Howe, Sherwood, Squire, Alan White, and then a name that I'm not even going to try to pronounce. Who did keyboards?
Oh,
Oh, it's Igor.
Igor. Igor who?
Igor.
Igor something there. I guess
Yeah,
yeah, that's right.
I don't know.
I don't know. But so
Another
yes,
weird
at this
pronoun.
point was now a 6-man lineup.
Yeah,
Nice. And the tracks on this album, Homeworld, The Ladder, It Would Be a Good Day, The River, Lightning Strikes, Can I, um, Face to Face, If You Only Knew, To Be Alive, Hep Yada, finally, The Messenger, New Language, and Nine Voices, Long Walker. from that release there. Those are the tracks that are there. 2001 sees the album Magnification. The title cut starts off the album. Spirit of Survival, Don't Go, Give Love Each Day, which what everybody needs to do today, I should say. Can You Imagine, We Agree, Soft as a Dove, Dreamtime, In the Presence of, and the closer, Time is Time.
Now, the group at this time included Anderson, Howe, Squire, and White. And then they had additional musicians, a couple of them that did the other stuff, but they weren't official members of the group.
Backup
So they were
musicians,
back
I
to the
guess.
four.
I see there. Right,
Yeah,
I
there's a
see
lot of
there.
this stuff going around, you know.
Yeah, but then again, that stuff happens all the time when you think about it there.
Yeah.
All the time.
And then an album that I actually don't know that I've ever heard. Fly From Here.
Live from here.
Fly From Here.
Oh, Fly from here. My bad. You got to remember, a lot of these groups are releasing albums on these indie labels that don't really get out to many markets out there, let alone record stores. So finding some of these albums out there is like a surprise to us,
Yeah. Let's see, I'm trying to find the group members. Well, different singer.
Yep. Oh, wow. That's the new. Because I remember Anderson had some vocal problems, and I guess, Yes decided to carry on without them to Anderson's disapproval.
Yeah. Been off David, Steve Howe, Chris Squire, Alan White, Jeff Downs, and Trevor Rabin. They call Trevor Horn.
Trevor Horn? Oh, Trevor Horn came back.
They had the vocals come back.
Oh, wow.
Basically.
So who did the guitar playing? This other guy there?
Steve Howe was still in the band.
All right, so Trevor Horn did he do vocals or somebody? Who's the other guy? Al David, I guess it was?
Yeah, something David, but I couldn't tell what the name was.
Hmm. And the tracks on this album are Fly From Here Overture, parts 1, 2, and 3 of Fly From Here. We Can Fly, Sad Night at the Airfield, Man Made on the Screens. It's basically parts 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then let me go on here. Part 1, We Can Fly. Part 2, Sad Night at the Airfield. Part 3, Man Made at the Scenes. Part 4, Bumpy Ride. And Part 5, We Can Fly Reprise. And the 3 tracks that follow that is The Man You Always Wanted Me to Be, Life on the Film Set, Hour of Need, Solitaire, Into the Storm, Hour of Need, which is the full-length version on this one here, and a bonus track called Don't Take No for an Answer. All right. Heaven and Earth will follow in 2014 with Believe Again, The Game, Step Beyond, my bad, To Ascend, In a World of Our Own, Light of the Ages, It Was All We Knew, Subway Walls.
And this group still had Howe, Squire, Alan White, and the two Buggles.
Oh, wow. So we got the drama lineup once again.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. And of course, in 2019, we have From a Page. The tracks
we
on
got
that
the
album.
Quest.
Yep. The Request, after From a Page here in 2019.
Right.
The Quest is just came out this year. Believe it or not, 2021. But going back to the previous one, oh, my bad. Stupid Earl, From a Page is an EP for crying out. I did not see that.
Okay, no wonder it wasn't on the listing I was looking at.
Oh, dang gummit. Well, the EP has From a Page, I'm getting fumbling my words, dang gummit. From a page, the EP has the tracks To the Moment, Words on a Page, From the Turn of a Card, The Gift of Love, and a track called the single mix of a track called To the Moment. Yeah. Now the Quest came out in 2021, as we just mentioned there, and the
Then,
tracks for that album are The Ice Bridge, Dare to Know, Minus the Man, Leave Well Alone, The Western Edge, Future Memories, Music to My Ears, A Living Island, Sister Sleeping Soul, Mystery Tour, Damaged World is the closing track from that.
yeah, and this one is the first Yes album that doesn't have Chris Squire on it.
Uh, Chris Squire at that time, of course, had passed away, as we mentioned, in
What it
the
has
20.
is John Davison, Steve Howe, Jeff Downs, Billy Sherwood, and Alan
Mhm.
White.
Uh, and I'm gonna go to the situation here. What's going on here with the current Yes lineups here? Give me a couple minutes here. Mm-hmm. And here, let's see here. Blah blah blah. Mm-hmm. Let's see here. I'm trying to find a situation here. 2010. Now in August. This is from the Wikipedia once again. In August 2010, it was announced that new material from would have been written for the Fly From Here, their 20th album.
Right.
Yes, it signed a deal with a label called Frontiers Records and began recording in LA with Trevor Horn serving as producer. Much of the album material was extrapolated from a pair of songs written by Horn and Jeff Dowles around the time that they had been Yes members around 1980.
Extrapolated.
Extrapolated, thank you. During the recording sessions, the band thought it would be wise to bring Jeff Dowles back in to replace Oliver Wakeman on keyboards. I guess that he's Rick's son, from what I take it there.
Yeah, he's never really credited on anything.
Yeah, because I remember there was an Alan Wakeman, if I'm correct, that played with keyboards for Ozzy Osbourne around 2007, if I remember. Because we got through, me and a buddy had 3 tickets to the Ozfest that year.
Wow.
Yeah, so we went to check that out there.
Now,
Right.
I
Go ahead.
guess we can move on to the live albums.
Yes.
The first one is Yes Songs, which was actually a movie too.
Yep. 3 albums set.
Yeah, and it was phenomenal.
Yeah, it was. Did we forget an album that they put out called Yesterday?
No, that's a compilation.
Oh, okay, there you go. Thank goodness. That album just came to mind. I was like, holy cow. Oops. We may have forgot that one there.
Uh, they opened with an excerpt from the Firebird Suite, which is pretty decent. And then they go into Siberian Khatru, Heart of the
Uh-huh.
Sunrise, Perpetual Change, and You and I,
Mm-hmm.
Mood for a Day, and a pretty decent keyboard piece if you're into keyboards at all. Excerpts from Six Wives of Henry VIII. He
Yep.
goes all over the place on that one. It's really
Oh,
cool.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Then it goes into Roundabout, The South Side of the Sky. No, I've seen All Good People. What am I talking about?
All right, there. I was going to say there.
Then Long Distance Runaround and The Fish, Close to the Edge, and Side 6. How often can you say that?
Hmm.
Had Yours Is No Disgrace, and closes with Starship Trooper.
All right.
So if you want, and Yes Live was good. I've seen him in concert 3 times,
All right.
and
It's
Yes
kind of
Live.
funny. You know what? I guess the version that I saw of that movie was possibly edited for television, or because when the ones I seen, the first track after the introduction would be "I've Seen All Good People" there. So obviously they must have
They probably
edited down.
moved some stuff
Yeah, they did. Yeah,
because the album, the opening Firebird thing, goes right into Siberian Cat True.
yeah. So how long was it? It was concert the movie its own self?
Uh,
Two
gosh,
hours. 2 hours, I
I
think it
don't
was.
think it was. I think it's about an hour 45, maybe.
Oh,
And I'm
close.
guessing.
Because
And
I guess how TV mom movies are when it comes to TV when it's shown on TV there. Plus the commercials is as well there, so they have to edit some things out there if I'm correct.
yeah, and their next live album was Yes Shows.
Yep. And
Which,
of course featuring the artwork of Roger Dean there,
yeah,
just as well.
and
And
again, go ahead.
I'm get unless we got to give Roger Dean his absolute due.
Oh yeah,
He made us some real tripped out album covers and designs for the album covers, not just for Yes. An African based group called Odessa. He did covers for them. He did covers for other bands like Budgie, Paladin, I guess it was.
right.
Some jazz musician whose name escapes me. He did the cover for his project there. If I know something there, I got to look that up again there for crying out loud. And there was a comp. This is kind of an odd thing here. A Motown Chartbusters album, volumes 2 or 3, I guess it was. He did the cover for that, which is kind of oddish because Motown is considered R&B, soul, and not related to anything progressive. So it's kind of odd to see have tracks by the Temptations, the Supremes, the Four Tops, on that compilation album, which features artwork by Roger Dean,
Yeah,
which is kind of odd, very very odd when you look at it there.
a little unusual.
Yeah, no, very unusual. But then again, it was the but then again, it was the Let me find it here. Yep, yep, absolutely. I got it right here. It's on available on Discogs, right now. And wait a minute here. What the fuck here? Let me see here. It came out in 1969 there.
Hmm,
And let me look it up here. Let me blah
early.
blah. Early album, very early out there. And I guess they changed the cover because the original was done by Roger Dean, as we all know. Yep, I found it right here. Found it right here. Well, yep, right here. I'm looking at the back, front and back covers right now, and yep, no doubt, Roger Dean did the cover for it. Features Diana Ross, Stevie Wonder, Jackson 5, you know, Diana Ross. Well, no, excuse me, the Supremes and the Four Tops, the Temptations. Of course, on and on and on and on there.
Yeah. Now, Yes Shows
Yep.
is also six. No, it's not. It's only four-sided.
Yeah. Oh, thought it was gonna be a triple album, I guess.
This one featured more of their variants from their other one.
Yep.
It's Parallels, Time and a Word,
Hmm.
Going for the One, The Gates of Delirium,
Yep.
Don't Kill the Whale, Ritual Part 1,
Mm.
Ritual Part 2, which basically is a continuation, and Wondrous Stories. So they had absolutely nothing on that album from the Yes Songs album.
I see that. This is a different version, I guess you could say.
Well, it's a totally different album,
Mm.
which actually that's something that you got to kind of admire that they didn't repeat
Um,
anything.
oh, by that way, I don't want to go back to the Motown thing here. This is the UK version that we're referring to that Roger Dean did the cover for. It was originally titled British Motown Chartbusters. After this, the title Motown Chartbusters was soon used afterwards.
Yeah.
These were hits that made it big in the UK there, so which kind of explains the whole thing there. If I'm looking there. Right.
And the next one was 9012 Live, the solos.
Yeah, that's another thing. I remember seeing the United One Two Live, the complete concert. I guess it was an appetizer for the next record, Big Generator, if I'm correct.
Pretty much.
Yeah, and why couldn't he just come out with a live album back then instead of just using the solos?
Yeah, I know it's kind of weird, really.
All right, there. Hmm. And I'll let you carry on here for a second. I think I gotta check something on the thing here.
Okay, the next one is Something's Coming.
Hmm.
Interesting. Oh, it's a BBC thing.
All right, there.
And then after that was Things. Oh, House of Yes. Uh,
Ah.
that's a good one. That also had a video that went with it.
All right.
That was one they did at the. Uh, it'll come to me.
All right.
Live from the House of Blues.
Ah, I see there.
I started that one with Yours Is No Disgrace. Uh, Time in a Word. Well, all of a sudden I'm having trouble reading.
No, that's understandable there.
Homeworld.
All
Perpetual
right.
Change. Lightning Strikes. The Messenger. Ritual.
All right.
And You and I. And then It Would Be a Good Day. Or It Will Be a Good Day. Face to Face. Awaken.
All right.
I've Seen All Good People. Cinema. Owner of a Lonely Heart. Roundabout.
All right. There we go there.
Thing is, I thought I remembered Soon being done in that, but I guess it wasn't.
I didn't know up there. Person named Real Mysterious, he's tried to go into our chat there, but as we all know, you have to be a subscriber for 5 weeks, in order to get into chat there. That's how it was set when Dave Rose is on the show here. And I'm trying to find how did he set or get to set the describe. Where did he go to the content? I guess was. Let me go to content here. Subscribers, and looks. I think it's got to go to. I got to listen to that whole episode once again, to find out where to go there.
Yeah.
Settings, I guess. Go to settings here. See how it goes here.
Well, I would kind of leave it at 5 weeks unless there's somebody you want to pull in.
All right, there. Who knows? Well, I'll try my best. I'll reply to. I'll give him my reply if I don't settle this whole thing out there. Permissions here and there. All right. Okay. Okay, let's see here. Blah blah blah. Sorry to take your time. Yeah, you go ahead, Ark. I'm going to work on this here.
Well,
There.
basically, there's a couple more live albums, but this is kind of the place to quit on this and conclude our Yes series.
Yeah, and of course we cannot forget the one that we mentioned. Keys Ascension number 1 and 2. There.
Right.
And and you think it's going to be? You think they'll eventually work some things out where they're able to finally become one Yes once and for all, once more?
Possibly, but heck, you look at it, they're getting a little old.
Yeah, that's true there. Yeah,
They're probably at a point that they don't want to fool with it anymore.
I know that's true there because you look at Steve Howe now. He's starting to lose a little bit of hair on the top there, and Chris Squire was had a little weight gain prior to his death there,
Yeah, which
and so
generally,
did.
unfortunately, happens a lot to people as they get older,
Yeah, I know exactly.
unless
It
you're
happened to
really careful.
on there. Yeah, look at Axl Rose, Vince Neil, members of Uriah Heep, their late drummer, Lee Kerslake. He really gained a lot of weight there.
Yeah,
Yeah, there. I have to work on this, have to work on this, this subscriber 5 week situation here, probably in a while there, when we get done from the air.
yeah. Are we doing Thursday?
Yes, we are at 6 p.m. Eastern time. And what band are we going to be covering pretty on this next on our series?
Emerson, Lake, and Palmer.
Okay, there we go. Got to give those guys. They're absolute, probably one of the biggest successful prog rock bands out there. You look at the cover of Emerson, Lake and Palmer in concert, the gatefold front cover there, and you see how massively big this band had gotten.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely, absolutely there. You'll look at it, it's like, whoa, dude. And Minnesota Vikings fan is in my chat. Shout out to him again. Hopefully, YR will get sucked away by the tornado going through H Town. Leave up to Mikey, Vikings fan there. Right there. And I guess that's it for our show for this afternoon here.
Yeah, that's pretty much gonna do our yes.
Yep, for the time being there.
Right.
And once again, this coming Thursday will be the band Emerson, Lake and Palmer there, and got to give those guys absolute mucho credit there.
Oh yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And let me end up with this little note here. I tried to make a video about this particular topic here. Are you into Star Wars?
Yeah.
Right. Yes. Nice.
I was gonna say who isn't, but there are people out there that aren't.
Oh yeah, absolutely, dude. During the pandemic, I was looking at channels like Star Wars series, Stupendous Wave, Star Wars comics, and all that stuff there. Watching scenes from all the Star Wars movies out there. Just watching and watching to keep me occupied here. I got to watch something.
Right.
Because most of the time I'm watching, the World Wrestling Enema, and of course, AEW at times. I was also watching episodes of the original Law and Order, Criminal Intent as
Right.
well, and some SVUs there. And it's like, I was keeping my time, doing a lot of stuff there, sitting around, only going to the grocery store here and there to get a couple of things, mask included. So I found this little thing here. I guess what it is like I guess they're coming out with there's talk possibly doing a let me get here Sith let me get out here. Son of a name. I'm trying to. Okay, here we go there. This is from Reddit.com there. Now, possibly there's talk right now that there's going to be a new Star Wars movie or trilogy coming out.
Really?
Yes. Now, from what I understand here.
Well, if George Lucas doesn't have a part in it, I'm not interested.
Yeah. So, yeah, I guess you were not a big fan of the sequels there, I guess.
Uh, I watched them. Well,
All
except
right.
for the ninth one.
Yeah. Well, we don't know who's going to be involved in this one here. This is one we're looking here. We got this covered.com. Now, let me pop it up, motherfucker. Let's get this thing here. All right, there. Now it's really coming up. Now, according to this article, and this is from a report from a YouTuber named Mike Zero, zero with an H at the end there.
Hmm.
Now, it appears that Gal Gadot, who has played Wonder Woman in the DC universe, there, the cinematic universe, in both Wonder Woman movies and the Justice League movie and the, of course, Batman versus Superman. She is apparently on her way to the Star Wars universe to play a Sith princess,
Hmm.
according to a new rumor. Now, now, Mike Zero, as you know, has done a lot of reports and behind the scenes, you know, stuff or going within what's going on within the Lucasfilms, Disney, what's going on with Kathleen Kennedy and the other guys, Lucas, Mike, Dave Filoni, and John Favreau. What's going on with the Obi-Wan Kenobi series coming up there, this and that. And apparently he has had some accurate scoops, but has also has a reputation for being off the mark, according to this article.
Hmm.
Now, earlier this year, Mike Zero claimed that, get this, Keanu Reeves is boarding the franchise in the role of King Valar, Valar, in a movie that's supposed to take place in the Old Republic era. And now he is stating that Gal Gadot will appear in the same project, which could become either a one movie or a trilogy. Reeves' character will have connections to the ancient Sith, and joining him in the series will be Gadot as a Sith princess, and quote unquote will be a part of this dark side oriented family. And of course, Zero informed it that the Sith related clan will be the evil equivalent to the Skywalkers. And apparently, the movie trilogy will be released, of course, through Disney Plus instead of going into theaters.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So that's how they're going to try to get subscribers.
Yeah, basically Disney Plus and all these streaming channels are the main thing right now. We have the theaters and on HBO Max for the Wonder Woman 1984, the 4 hour long Justice League. I'm still waiting for the 4 hour version of Revenge of the Sith to be compiled and be released. Yes, that's what I heard. There's a 4 hour featuring a whole bunch of deleted scenes in there. And one thing I want to see him work on is the extended work on Darth Vader preparing the suit, his breathing apparatus, and everything else. Because from what I heard, it didn't just take a long set of minutes. It took about a couple days.
Wow.
Because we didn't really get that much in the original Revenge of the Sith. When you think about it, there, it was only just a couple of scenes here and there between Padme getting birth and this going on.
Yeah, can you
Yeah.
uh, rank the 9 Star Wars movies in the order of preference for you?
Well, I'll give it a shot there. When you let me give it a shot there. I will try. I would have to say. Let's see. I'll go with 9. The bottom with number 9 would have to be The Last Jedi.
Okay, I'll agree with that.
Yeah. The number 8 would have to be Attack of the Clones, Episode 2. It was a good movie.
Yeah.
It was
Was
good,
that the
but
one where they introduced? No, that's not the Jar Jar Binks one.
no, that was Episode 1,
Yeah.
which is at number 7.
Yeah, and I'll go along with that mainly because of Jar Jar Binks.
Okay. Number number 6 would have to possibly be let's see there. Have to be The Force Awakens because it
Okay,
was new. It was interesting to see there.
right.
You know, number 5 would have to be, let's see,
So far, I'm in line with your choices.
have to be, let's see, I did. This is out of the blue, so you have to forgive me for taking my
What's okay?
time on this one. I'm here. Let's see. We had
This
about
is when it gets tough.
yeah, it really gets tough there because I'm trying to put all together there, get everything in line. I mean, and remember I don't really come up with lists as you know. I usually just lump them
Yeah.
all together there.
Well, in
But
my mind, I'm thinking it's probably you didn't mention number 8.
yeah, it's true. Yeah, The Last Jedi.
Oh, I thought that was number 9.
Yeah, that was number nine. On the list there. Episode 8 is at number 9. That's what I meant to say there. You usually just go by the main titles there at times. Which, by the way, I'm glad they redeemed Luke Skywalker for the ending of the second season of The Mandalorian.
Yeah.
They did a great job on that one. That's the Luke we know and love, the badass Luke. And of course, let me go on carrying on by my list. You know, I would have to say, The Force Awakens will be next there. I already mentioned that there, yes.
Yeah, I was
Uh,
thinking
ri-
so.
you know,
Well, I would.
Rise of Skywalker would be next.
Yeah.
And of course, number 3 would have to be,
4.
4. I thought I did. I lost track, man. I got to write
Okay.
this down there.
You haven't done any of the top 3. Top 3. Uh, the middle trilogy and the one that Darth Vader was born in, and I
Oh yeah,
forget the name
that's
of that.
right. Revenge of the Sith. My bad. That's number 4.
Yeah. And I
And
agree with all of that so far.
yeah, absolutely. And the top 3 would have to be, starting out with, you know, The Empire Strikes Back. It'd be number 3. Number 2 would be Return of the Jedi, which, by the way, was originally supposed to be called Revenge of the Jedi, but that was changed because the Jedi does not take revenge.
Right.
And of course, number 1, the one that started it off for me, A New Hope. Well, actually, we all at that time was when it first came out was simply Star Wars.
Yeah. And man, I can remember when I went to see it at the theater. I was like, at the end of
Holy
it, I was
moly.
like, wow.
We all were like that. Everybody. When we first saw that Star Destroyer from overhead, it's like, holy, how big is that damn thing?
Yeah.
Wow. So I guess that concludes our show for today. There.
Yeah.
All right. So for the time being, there, want to
And
remind
we'll
everybody. Go
see
ahead.
everybody on ELP Thursday.
That's right. This coming Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, an hour ahead before my stint with Real Spuck TV. Definitely just tune in for both programs there. All right, so that's it for tonight. And for Arknolia and myself, you guys have a good Monday evening.
All right. And we'll see
All
you.
right, all right, bye-bye. All right, another good show there we have done.
Yeah. And